Hello everyone and welcome to Clarity 16.1.1 Supportability and Feature Training. I am Vib Mehrotra, and as part of this section we will be talking about the investment dashboard updates. In this release we have enhanced the investment dashboard to support chart widgets for sub-objects, as well as we've enhanced the canvas itself across Clarity to support the column layout configuration. The reason this is important is because in the previous release of Clarity, we released the investment canvas where the end user could define their own investment dashboard by adding the investment attributes or table widgets. In this release, we are now adding the capability to add charts to those widgets, thus giving our customers a better visualization of their data. The customers also asked us that they wanted more control over how the canvas layout was there. Instead of a fixed set of columns, they wanted to be able to control how many columns they could have for their canvas. And that's what is being added in this release. So first, the charts in the investment canvas, we are introducing the ability to add charts to your investment canvas itself. The chart widgets can be added based on any sub-objects that has been defined for that investment type. There are 4 chart widgets that are available: the number tile, progress ring, pie chart, and bar chart. These widgets are in addition to the existing table widgets and object attributes that were available when we introduced the investment canvas itself. Adding any of these chart widgets is very similar to how you would add the existing attribute or table widgets. Basically, you would go into the investment itself, go into the canvas, and configure the canvas. When going into the configuration mode, the 4 chart widgets will be listed right in the configuration panel, and the end user can drag any one of those 4 onto the canvas. Dragging those to the canvas itself will automatically open up the widget configuration modal, and the user can then define the name, which would be the title, the color, the target object, as well as the other configuration. A chart widget cannot be created without defining a target object. So a target object is required for these chart widgets. In addition, these chart widgets cannot be saved in the widget library. They're basically just defined and then saved in the canvas as part of the saved view. As mentioned, the charts are saved as part of the investment view itself. The owner of the widget can modify it by clicking on the edit icon on top of the widget or clicking on the X icon to delete that widget. Of course, clicking on the X will delete the widget, and if the user wants to bring the widget back, they will have to recreate it by adding its conditions. The chart widgets do have some governance that need to be defined, or that controls how many charts can be added to the investment. There can be a maximum of 7 table widgets that can be added to the canvas, and a total of 10 chart and table widgets combined, which means you can have any combination of these chart widgets added to your investment canvas, but a maximum of 10 can be defined, and out of those the maximum you can get is 7 table widgets. As each one of these are added to the canvas itself, there is a counter to visually indicate to you how many of those specific chart types are added to your canvas, and once you reach the maximum, then that specific widget grays out. The canvas that is available, there will be a new tab under the configuration of the canvas called Layout. Layout will allow the user to configure their canvas layout between 4 6 or 8 columns. The layout setting is then saved as part of the view. The layout setting is used when exporting the status report to PDF. And this layout setting can be done not only just for the investment canvas, but also for agreements, page canvas, and status reports. So the same layout is available when you go into any one of these canvases across Clarity. Changing the layout will set the following. If you're increasing the column size, then the additional column will be displayed as blank to the right of the previously configured canvas. If you reduce the column size, which means if you go from either 8 or to 6 or from 6 to 4, then any widgets that are on the extreme right side will automatically be readjusted to the bottom of your canvas. The chart widgets that you add to your canvas require a minimum column numbers that can be added. The attribute, progress ring, and number tile, when dragged to the canvas, will require a minimum of 1 column width. You can expand and make it longer, but the smallest size that you can have for them will be 1 column. The table, pie chart, and bar chart will need a minimum of 2 columns. You cannot reduce them less than 2 columns. With that, let's see the product in action. So I'm going to first start off in Clarity 16.1.1 Modern UX Administration. So here I'm going to go into the blueprints, and I'm going to go into the project blueprint. And in my blueprint, I want to kind of call out that how you can define the canvas. Now again, defining a canvas in an investment was introduced in the previous release. And in my example, I have a canvas called dashboard added. In this dashboard, my out-of-the-box sub-objects as well as my custom objects are available, and I can enable which of these should be available to me when I'm configuring my, in this example, the dashboard canvas. The reason I'm calling this out is because these are exactly the same objects that will be available to me for configuring my chart widgets. So in this example, I've enabled strategy and horizon as my custom sub-objects and all the other out-of-the-box sub-objects. Next, I'm going to go into my project layout, and I'm going to go inside to my specific project that has that blueprint defined. Navigating into my project, I land onto my dashboard, which is my investment canvas. And here I have a previously configured investment canvas with the attribute widgets as well as some table widgets. I'm going to go ahead and configure this canvas to see my new chart types that are available to me. And as I go into my configuration, I can see the 4 new chart types are available to me. In addition, I can also see the table charts that I have already configured in my canvas layout and the counter for each one of those. So I have added task, risk, issues, and changes. To add any one of these new chart types to my investment canvas, it is as simple as just dragging and dropping. So the way I would do that is by just picking up one of my canvas. So let's build one. So I'm dragging it to my canvas, and when I drop it, you can see the create modal automatically appear on the screen. So let's create one for all open risks. I want this to be displayed in red. I have to define a target object. As you can see, there is a flag here that indicates that this is required. So without defining a target object, my create button is not even enabled. So let's go and indicate that I want this from my risk. Also want to call out so you can see that in my blueprint, all the out of the box sub-objects that I had enabled and the custom sub-objects that I had enabled are all listed here. There were additional ones, but I did not enable them, so they're not available to me here to define as my target. All right, so let's proceed with creating the one for risk. Once I select my risk, I want to get a count, and I want to define a filter that only show me the ones where the status is not equal to completed or closed in this case. Notice that there is the in-widget library is grayed out, so you cannot add this to any widget library because there is no widget library for the investment canvas charts. And now that I've defined my conditions, my target object, I can go ahead and create this specific chart widget. It displays the chart widget to me, and you can see by default it is in a single column. I can expand this to be longer if I want to. Next, let's add another one, which would be a bar chart, and let's add it over here. So again, dragging and dropping automatically opens up the create modal for it. And this one I want to call it as my delay task, because I want to get how many tasks are delayed and which task owner is responsible for not completing those tasks. So the target object in this case I'm going to pick as the task. I want to get a count, a number, and I want to group by the task owner. I want to define my conditions that I only want those tasks that are in the past, which means they're not this before today's date. I want where the status is not completed. And I want to make sure I only look for task, because there might be some summary task with no owners. I don't want to see any of those. So now that I've defined my condition, I've defined my target object, I can click on create, and you can see as this gets created, it is expanded to 2 columns. You can see the columns behind. So we do display the gray area that tells you that this is, at this point I'm looking at the 6 columns, and the table, or in this case the bar chart, is 2 column expanded. I cannot reduce its size, but I can increase it to go beyond 2, but the minimum I can have is only 2. Alright, and I can of course continue to create more, but as you can see that by pulling in the progress in, there is a counter of 1 because I've added 1 of this and I've added 1 of bar chart and then the rest of the table widget. So there is my counter right there. If I click on done, then the canvas with my widgets and the other table widgets are all displayed. I cannot edit any of this while it is in the display mode. But if I did not like my layout and I wanted to change it, I can go back to configure, and now I have the option to either edit a specific chart widget, which then again opens up the edit modal for my specific chart, and I can modify anything. Maybe I want to change the label. Or if I don't like it, I can then just click on the X to remove that specific chart, and then it auto adjusts according to the layout, and I can click on done. If I like my setting, I can go ahead and save this as part of my view. And as I had mentioned that these charts are all saved as part of your view, so I can look at another saved view where I've added other types of charts, and they will then all automatically appear because it's saved as part of the view. So in this case, I have another dashboard or another view where I can see the open risk, open issues, delayed task, delayed to-dos, and the horizon allocation. All right. If I go back to configure, I have my chart nicely laid out, but as you can see, I can increase my layout columns. If I go into my configure canvas and click on the new layout column, that's where I see the three options that are available to me, the 4 column, 6 column, and 8 columns. If I click on the 8 column, you can see now because I had previously configured within the 6 column layout, all of that is automatically retained within the 6 column, and 2 new columns are added to the right. I can easily drag anything to the new column, expand it however I want to make it look like. If I don't like the 8 column, I can reduce it to a 4 column, in which case anything that is in these last 4 columns will auto shift down to the bottom of my layout. So by going to the 4, everything gets readjusted, and whatever was towards the right gets moved down to the bottom of my screen. If I don't like any of this configuration and I feel I want to go back to my original, just clicking on the 6 column will not do it. I'll have to click on done and then just revert back to my previously saved view. And I'm back to my 6 column layout, which is how I had it originally. And this concludes our section for investment dashboards. Thank you everyone for listening.